Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, and we are continuing our Terminator Skull series. This video particularly, we are going to talk about how to create the square holes and these indentations. Last time we talked about the circular holes. We're going to be expanding from that to create a lot more variable shapes, defining the edges in a way that will make the shape but also not break our model. So these back here as well, you can see those holes, and this is what it looks like here. So we're going to try to do it with some techniques that doesn't cause pinching going all the way around our model, especially if it's a complex model. We don't want too many loop cuts and too much geometry, and that is the goal for today. And something that I haven't done in a while, and I need to do, because I forgot to do it last time, is to duplicate our skull and then move this one to the backups. That's so we have something to fall back on. So last time, if you haven't been following along the Terminator series, we are building out this Terminator. The last time we talked about these holes here, these circular holes going into our model here, here, and right here. And it's fairly easy to make those. So if you haven't seen the last video, just go back and watch that. This time we're going to make a little bit more complicated holes, namely more square-like holes. So we've got this that we're going to be practicing on the sphere so I can show you how to do them when it comes to our model. So I'm going to start easiest to hardest. We're going to start with this little indentation here in the front, and then we're going to extrude out this square here, and then we're going to come back here and extrude out these four. And each of them kind of build off of each other. If you want to see more Terminator stuff, just come over to blenderfrenzy.com and you can see my new Blender Frenzy VFX course all about head tracking in Blender using the Terminator Skull that we're making. Click take a look, and then you can see what that's all about. If you scroll down, you'll get the skull. You'll see what we're going to create, making it look like the Terminator Skull is under your skin. Whole bunch of stuff on how to film and how to create negative space and all of the good stuff here. You can check that out. If you just want the free starting file, start with the freebie single downloads. And then I've got a couple of them up here. I'll be adding more to this, but you can start with the T800 Metal Skull starting blend file here. And that is so you can start ready to go with the series, building your metal skull. And of course, if you want more, you can go to the Blender freebies, click sign up, and then you can see the member levels and what you can expect from those. You can also see what's inside and then scroll down to see all of the videos and extra videos on the Pro that you'll be receiving if you want. And again, that's blenderfrenzy.com. So now let's head back to the video. So when it comes to the front part here, this actually is pretty easy. So going back to our sphere here, let's tab into edit mode, and we're going to take these four faces, I to inset those. This part is optional depending on your model, but you can press S to scale and then Z. Remember, we have to be in normal transform orientations for this to work. So S, Z, and then 0, and then that will flatten that out. Justin from the future with another tip on how to flatten this. If you have the loop tools enabled, you can just right click loop tools and flatten. Does the same thing. And then we can E to extrude that and go back in like this. And all we have to do from here is take these two edges, double G to slide those, and merge them with our vertices. Remember, I have auto merge vertices on, so I recommend having that on as well. And then we can take these two, GZ, and move those out like that. And now we have something already that looks like this. And I'm going to split the screen so that we can see it without our overlays. And that's really essentially it. That's all we have to do. Now we can come in here and define the edges a little bit more by adding another loop cut like right there. And we can pull that forward for a sharper edge there, or backwards for a sharper edge, or keep it in the middle just to average that out. And we are done. You can see there is no pinching that goes around on our model because of the way we did it. So let's go ahead and do it here. Let's go to split view. And let's take these and pull them up a little bit, and maybe also like that, just so we have this shape a little bit better. And maybe we can actually even take these down. I'm pressing double G to slide them. Oh, and I realize I still have proportional editing on it. I don't want that. So take these, I to inset. And because we have our mirror modifier on, we have to take this, and let's just go in here so we can see. and delete those faces. And then we can take this edge, grab on the X, and pull that over. And you see it's not clipping because in our mirror modifier, we need to enable clipping. I didn't have that enabled for some reason. There we go. And now that should be just one edge there. Again, auto merge vertices is on, mirror clipping is on. And now we're just going to do the same thing. Take these faces, E to extrude, take these edges, double G to slide those and merge with them. So let's see what that looks like. Okay. And so this is what we have so far. So let's define it a little bit more. Let's go back to our layout here and pull open one like this. There we go. We can see the result. And then over here, we can come back. So we have our mirror modifier on. So let's define it here like this. See what that looks like. Okay, that's not too bad. Maybe we can take these back a little more. Double Y because we're in normal select, so we double Y to push it along the global Y axis. Okay, there we go. That's not too bad. And because we have the geometry, and we haven't gotten here yet, but if we slide this over here to the edge like this, it's going to define these a little bit straighter. You can see if I double G and I slide this back, it's more round. But if I have it towards the side, it's a little bit more straight up here. Go back to our split view, and yeah, that's not too bad. We could maybe do some adjusting with these faces and just kind of pull it out. Actually, now that I've noticed, I forgot to do one thing here. If we are double G and sliding, this is not a problem. But if we want to actually move our faces, you can see it stretches our texture. And this is not a big deal because we're going to reproject anyway, but if you don't want that to happen, come to options and select correct face attributes. And now if we move that, the texture pretty much just stays the same. So I'm just going to kind of pull this out just so it's a little bit wider up here at the top. Okay, perfect. So that's what we have. And maybe we can also, let's see here. Let's take this edge and double G to slide that over here. I meant to do that originally so that this is a little bit more, or I should say a little bit less round. Yeah, there we go. So this is a little bit more square-like. And then we can maybe even take these and just G to grab those out as well. And then maybe the same thing we did before. Take this face and just pull that out a little bit more. Oh yeah, I like that. That's much better. Okay, so here is what we have so far with the front of our head. And that indentation may be too far back. We can adjust that, but I'm not going to do that now. Now I do want to extrude the inside holes here, but we'll do that next because before we do that, we're going to do this single one here so we can practice with the concepts of squaring out the sides of our hole. So coming back over to our sphere, let's practice on this. Let's go over to another side over here. I'm just going to do a single square for now, or a single face. So if I eye to inset like we did last time, I don't remember if I did this last time, but I'm going to G and Z and 0 to make sure that's flat. E to extrude that back, and now you can see our circular hole. This is what we did last time. And this is happening again because the subdivision surface is on. And the subdivision surface averages out all of the geometry together, and so it ends up rounding out corners. But what if we want to keep those corners? So the standard way to do that is to add loop cuts. So I'd add loop cut on this side, and then on this side, and then that gives us somewhat of a square shape, and then I can do it on the bottom, and then on the top, and then we have our square shape. But obviously, you can see we have a problem. And that is we have the pinching that goes all the way around our model and it ruins that model. So how do we do this without doing that? Well, I've tested that a whole bunch of ways. I'm going to show you my favorite so far. So I'm going to undo that and we're just going to do it one at a time. So Control R, add a loop cut right down the middle. This is assuming there isn't one down the middle already. If there is, you don't have to do this. Add another loop cut on this side. And as you start sliding this toward the edge, we can flip this by pressing E to say even. You can see it's clearly not even. But if we press F, you can see now it's straight up and down. Now the only reason it's straight up and down is because it's matching the middle one that we put, which is straight up and down. So basically F flips the side that it's supposed to be even with. So if I press F again, now it's even with the left side. So F just toggles that. So I'm going to pull that out something like this, and then we can do the same thing over here. Control R, and then E, F. And you don't have to press F if it's already straight up and down, but if it's not, just flip it. Okay, so now what we can do, I'm going to go out of subdivision so you can see this. With one of these loops selected, we can deselect all the ones inside that we want to keep. And then with these, we can double G to slide those over to the corresponding side, and then they merge with this, of course, with auto merge vertices on. So same thing here, we can do select that edge loop. I'm just doing C to circle select and middle mouse to deselect those, right click to exit the circle select, and then double G, slide those and merge with that. And back in subdivision, you can see we have eliminated, for the most part, that pinching. Now we still have a little bit of pinching, and that's due to this middle piece here, which we can now promptly dissolve. And so we've already got a good start on our square without the pinching that's going all around. Now we can do the same thing going the other way. So put one in the middle, and then on the top, E, F to flip that. Control R, click and drag, E, F. Oh, no, I didn't need to press F because it was already like that, but got it now. And a slightly different way we can merge all of these together is going to vertex select, and then take these vertices, double G to slide those down, take the top ones, double G to slide them up. And now what we can do is in edge select, we can alt select the edges to go all the way around the model. Now that would normally go all the way around, but it's interfering with our other one that we created. So we're going to have to select alt on the other side like that. But normally it would go all the way around. And then anyway, we can dissolve those edges. And now we have this square. Oh, and then we've got to, of course, dissolve the middle one. And so now we have a square that's been started, and it's not bothering the rest of the model. However, you probably noticed that the corners are pinching. And so to deal with that and try to keep as many quads as possible, what I like to do is come up here, Control R to add in a edge loop there, and then just S to scale straight away. And what we're trying to do is just kind of get it to where it's straight, going straight up, following this edge here. So, and if it's on one side and not the other, then we can just double G to slide that over. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll do it on the bottom as well. Control R, and then scale those in. Something like that. So it's starting to look better, but we can make it even better if we either take the inside loop and then double G to move that back just slightly. And I like that. That's kind of like my favorite. You could also take the outside ones and GZ to kind of move those up. And that is looking pretty good. Justin from the future again, and since I've recorded the previous statement, I learned how to do it a slightly different way that might save you time. It all just depends on your model, but select this face here, Control plus to select all of these faces, and that's in face select mode. Then change to edge select mode by pressing 2 or coming up here, and then press Control B to bevel and just start slightly moving your mouse over a little bit like that, and then left click to set it. Now this little thing should come up here, and you can open that. Now if that doesn't come up, make sure you go to View and then Adjust Last Operation, and you'll need to do that before you actually bevel. But with these options now, let's change segments to 2, shape to 1, and then miter outer here to arc. And that's going to start to give the same shape that we've been creating here along the edges. And you can see like we were creating before. But if we go into subdivision, you can see we don't quite have it yet. So the next thing we need to do is to take these here and slide them to merge with these. Again, I have auto merge vertices on, and take these down here and then just slide those like that. And then we've essentially created the same exact shape that we did, but in fewer steps. Of course, you still have to adjust the edges and pull and push them to get rid of any pinching. And then also inside here, you might have to adjust how much definition you want. So for example, I could take this edge loop and dissolve that if I don't want that to be defined too much. I could also take this edge loop right in here and dissolve that. Take this next one and just pull that back a little bit. And this is all, again, to define these edges without creating too much pinching. I haven't really perfected sharp corners here on the outside. A couple of things that you can do to tighten things up here would be to take these down here and just double G to slide those. Same thing up here, double G to slide those closer to that. And that gives it a little bit sharper of an edge here. Of course, we can take this and double G to slide that back and forth. Just gonna have to look at how that looks. You could also try to add a loop cut in here. That really hasn't worked all that much for me. We can also, before we move those, we could take these outer edges here, double G to slide those and start to move those in, or maybe out to have a more of a square shape. And then let's take these and slide those down like that. I don't know if this actually is helping at all, but there's just some ideas. And then what would happen if we did that here? Yeah, that makes those corners really nauseating. What if we dissolved those edges as well? We could do that. And that might tighten things up a little bit there. Let's do the same thing here. Take these, dissolve those. And it looks like maybe just having these kind of in their normal positions might help a little bit more. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of ideas to play around with here. And of course, you could always start off with insetting this twice before you extrude it. That way you have another loop cut that you can use to adjust the edge there on the outside. You can do the same thing that we've been doing, like that. Let's see, we can also maybe take the inside here, double G to slide that to the front, but then take these points here, S to scale them in. I'm scaling them in along the median point, so they're going to scale in towards each other. And that, you can see, sort of starts to round those out a little bit more so they're not poking out. But then that gives this edge here a lot more sharpness, and we can take these in even a little bit more. Just depends on how sharp you want those. And then maybe we can pull these forward to just a little bit more. Like that, and then we can put a loop cut in to find the back more. And you can see this is actually working out pretty well. Again, I don't know exactly how to get the corners completely sharp, kind of like they are in the back, other than just playing around and adding loop cuts and stuff on the outside, on the inside, maybe even doing Control B to bevel. And also, if you have more geometry, or if you can afford to add more geometry, you can always keep the middle ones in, going across, and that really does start to square things out. And speaking of, I'm going to get rid of these because most of what we're going to be doing is just that. So I'm just going to get a new sphere here. And just like we did with the front of the head, most of what we're going to be doing is using multiple faces. So something like this, we can I to inset that. And depending on what we want to do, we could also scale it on the Z0 to make it completely flat. Just scale that in a little bit. And then extrude it from there. But you can see now that we have these lines going across and down, we could use that to our advantage. So for example, we could take this edge loop and double G to slide that up. I'm going to E and make that even. And same thing down here, G, slide E, just like that. And then we can take our side ones here, E even, even, just like that. And then of course we can deselect these ones, double G to slide those in, and do the same over here. And add our loop cut going across and scale that in, loop cut across and scale. Okay, and so we can see what that looks like. Define our edges on the inside and the back, and then maybe one in the front, just like that. So, and you can see there's kind of a little bit pinching there, but we know how to deal with that. Just showing you kind of all of the little tips and tricks on how to get started with these square holes that we're now going to put into our skull. So back with our skull, let's figure out where we need to put that. So right away, I see all of the faces that are covering this area here. Press I to inset those, just like we just did. And then we can take these and match them. I'm pressing double G to slide them because it's going to maintain the contour of the shape we already have. I don't want to be pushing and pulling too many things around. So just double G to slide those. And this is actually not going to be on the bottom. This is going to be the bottom here. So I'm going to take these, double G to slide those up, and maybe also these here to get it a little bit more even. And then take this one and double G to slide those up. So I'm going to select all the ones going around. So all of these edges. Double G to put them out a little bit further. And actually just take, I'm going to take these and put them out a little bit further because I do actually want to inset these one more time before I extrude. Okay, so first thing, I want to scale Z0 again in our normal transform orientation. Okay, and then here I to inset, we just watch that right there. That's good. And now we can start extruding that. So extrude it back, just like that. And let's see our result here. All right, so we've got a good start already. And because of the geometry, we actually now don't need to add too much to define it. So we can take this edge loop and pull that down. We don't really actually have an even, so that's fine. We can maybe pull it down like this, and then we'll just manually kind of make things a little bit more even. And then that's going to define the bottom a little bit better, like that. And then maybe, since we have this one kind of going down the middle, let's just take this here and put it more in the middle. And then instead of having one on the side to side, we can actually just put one right here. That way we have one on the top and one on the bottom. And again, I'm going to deselect those, double G to pull that up, just like that. Do a loop cut here and scale that in. I don't know if this is the best way, but we'll just, every time I do this, it's different. But let's see. We have a little bit of maybe pinching there on the corners, but it's not terrible. And maybe we can actually, instead of deselecting just these, maybe we can deselect the ones out there too. And that one. And then double G to pull those up like that. Maybe that will give us a little bit better results. Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit better. Let's bump this up to 3 so that we can see that. Okay, and then slide some of these points up. Good start here. If we take this edge loop, double G, and we can tighten that up a little bit. See what that is? Oh yes, yeah, I like that. And then depending on how you want the inside, you can come and define that in here and then also in the front. Like that. And here I'm going to do something a little bit extra, and that is I'm going to pull this piece out here. So if we come over here, this piece right here, I'm going to like have a little creative freedom with it. So because if we've already set it up to where we have the top and the bottom defining our shape, I don't want to slide these around and move these up because I'm going to need something here in the middle. So instead, I am going to break my rule and add in a loop cut because we can afford it. It's not too many loop cuts and it's going around our model just fine. So just kind of got to check that. So I like this. This is okay, especially for what it's going to allow me to do. So then I will take all of these faces here. I'm not going to take the bottom faces, just these 6 right here. To inset those, and we can only go so far because of the top ones. We can't inset it too much. But then I'm going to take these 2 on the bottom, double G to slide those up, these 6 faces. E to extrude those out, and now you can see we have a top support and a bottom support along with that, which is really important with this. I'm bringing that out just a little bit more. I can also scale it down and just kind of move it a little bit. Let's define the front and the back of it with loop cuts as well. And ta-da! That is what we have. So this is my little creative freedom, this little piece sticking out. It's very simple, but when it's projected, it gives it some good flair there. Justin from the future yet again showing you how to do this part using the bevel method that I showed you. Instead of using all 4 of these and insetting them, I'm just going to use 1. So I'm going to just bring this one face over this shape. Take the face, inset it here, loop tools, and flatten. E to extrude that, and then Control plus go into edge select with those faces selected, Control B to bevel, and then when the option comes up, we want to change our segments to 2, shape to 1, and this to arc. And then we just need to take these and slide them up, take these 2, slide them down. Remember, I'm merging them with auto merge vertices, and now we have a shape that looks like this. Now, this doesn't look as pretty as just on a regular sphere, and it's just because of the shape of our skull. So you'll just have to play around with kind of connecting these and moving them around. What I found to work the best is actually taking the knife tool and then cutting here. Or you could do the same thing by just taking this and shift selecting this and then J to join those, and then it will cut straight through. I found that actually helped make that less pinchy over here. And then we can do the same thing here. Take this, shift select this, J to join that, and take this and this, J to join that. And there you go. You see that got rid of that pinching there. And then maybe we can come up here and just kind of slide these away. Maybe pull this forward. Maybe take these 2 and pull them down. And that's actually not too bad. Let's take this back. I want to make that a little bit sharper again. Okay, I'm not going to continue to tweak that because this is not the method that I chose, but let's get that inside bit here. So remember we had a loop cut going across here, and then I'm going to try just to extrude this one here, and then we'll do the same thing with those edges. So Control plus, to select all around there. Same thing, go into edge select, Control B, and it should remember what we had. So all of our segments and shape and miter outer should be the same. And that should give us what we want here. And it does, because that is pretty sharp in subdivision. Let's just take the front here, and I'm just going to pull that out a little bit, bring it down, and then we have an in-gon here on the corners. So with these, we can just take this vertex and this vertex, J to join. J to join is kind of hard to see which corner to actually, we can select one, press the period on the numpad so that we can see that a little bit better. Scroll out, and last one here, this one and this one, J to join those. There we go. Then now we don't have any n-gons, but our result is the same there. Okay, and so that is what that would look like. Okay, so now you've seen it in action. We can actually come over here and do the same thing with these little holes that are coming in here on the front of our model right here. So we already know how to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and just put this in the middle here. Now that's not going to be able to define this edge, but with our extrusions, it might still be okay. So taking these, I to inset, scale Z 0, I to inset just a tad bit, and E to extrude backwards. Okay, so that's starting there. We need to define this a little bit better. And maybe we can actually redirect this edge loop that we used to come down and define down here instead of going across this way. So let's take this edge loop. Let's just dissolve those edges. Take our knife tool and we'll just cut down through these. I'm just pressing and clicking my left mouse button as I go along here. When I change directions, I can cut through things. I don't have to stop at every little bit there, but just when I'm changing directions and enter. So I hope that made sense. Oh, I must have missed something here. So let's take these two, J to join those. And just in case, I'm going to select everything, M, and merge by distance. Okay, so that's good. Let's save our work, and we can maybe even start to pull those down to where it's just a little bit more even that way. These can also come over here, just trying to straighten everything up. Okay, so that's actually not looking too bad. And I actually don't think we need to define anything inside necessarily, because the way that it is in the picture, it doesn't look like it is defined. So that's actually pretty good, I think, just all by itself like that. And again, I think maybe that is still too far in. Yeah, that's not too bad. We'll leave it there. And now our last four right here, we're going to use all the same techniques that we did before. I'm going to make a quick detour just to fix this corner here because I have this triangle here and I want to actually redirect this flow. So I'm going to take this one, and this is all depending on your model. Obviously, you might not have to do this. This is just my choice for my model that I have here. It's just this should be going up like this, because essentially this is the loop from here. So that's going up. This loop should come out over here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we've just created a fifth edge here. So we need to connect this edge to something. So I'm going to just do a loop cut here. And you can see if this wasn't an end gun, that would go straight through, but it's like, no, this isn't a quad. So now I can take these two and join those. So now we have a quad, and we can take this and pull it out just a little bit. Now you can kind of see that quad here with this face. Also make this just double G to slide that up because I want that corner tight, and make sure, there we go. That's just a lot cleaner and smoother that way. Now over here it's a little bit more bumpy than I want it to be, so we'll have to smooth that out. This is okay for now. We can fix the other stuff later. I just want to prepare this for our next job with these here. And now we are back to the tutorial. Let's take these and double G to slide these around again, even though I just did that. Essentially what I'm going to start to do is move some of these around to cover our hole. And then I'll take all of the ones that are going to be used to define the hole, and then I to inset this. And then we'll have to take all of these and slide them. Now, it is important that you slide them because we don't want to be pushing and pulling on our model, because then it's going to be all bumpy and we're going to get things all out of whack. And you can grab if it's just little bits at a time. But now I'm kind of thinking and preparing for how this is going to be. So I'm going to take this here and then double G to slide that down. So this is going to be our defining the bottom. This will be in the middle. And then this will be defining our top, like we've been doing. And also like we've been doing, I'm going to make this a little bit larger than the hole itself because we're going to inset this one more time when we are ready. But I'm not ready yet. I'm going to move on to the next one. This is going to be our next hole here. So just sliding these, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so now we can take these same ones here. I to inset that. That's good enough for now. Okay, and these here will be defining the bottom. These two here can be defining the top on both of these. Like that. Okay, there we go. And now I can actually take these here, just like that. Take these here, I to inset those, like that. Okay, so I hope you see what we're doing. We're kind of just outlining these holes here. And I also want to make sure that they're not poking out anywhere unnatural. Let's actually go into subdivision and see what that looks like. And in our layout, oh, okay. So this is not the smoothest ever. So I didn't do that great of a job, but we are going to be extruding and they are going to be square, so it's going to be fine for our purposes. So speaking of extrusions, let's just stay here. I'm just going to take these, I to inset, and then E to extrude down like that. Maybe that's too far, G and Z, and pull that back up, something like that. Okay, and then of course we want to take, I can take this G and Z and pull that forward, so it's gradually coming up like that. And now you can see the effect that it's having. Maybe we could do the same thing we've done and define the inside here, like that. And then take these two faces and just pull them back a little bit to make it a little deeper. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I really like that. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the next one. So the next one actually has all of these here that we're going to inset. I'm actually going to go out of subdivision to do this because my computer gets really slow. Same thing, E to extrude that down, and then we take these, pull those up like that. Maybe also define the inside here and see what we have. Awesome. Let's look at it in here with our texture. Yeah, it's not too bad, not too shabby. We can also adjust the size if we need to on any of these. Let's do the final two. I to inset once just a little bit, and then E to extrude. But I do want to have this actually extruding on individual origins. So E to extrude those down just a little bit. And then we can define the front and the back for both of them. And this should be good. We should be ready to go because we already used our geometry to define these. Well, I can maybe make this look a little bit better here. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just using the existing geometry to define the top and the bottom so that they're more square shape-esque. And this one here doesn't really matter all that much. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more even across the bottom here. Okay, I think that's good. I mean, it looks a little bit ugly, but that is okay because I want to be able to have my edge flow going around like normal for the most part. You can see here, and I may just combine some of these here so that this kind of goes all the way across the bottom so we can create good topology coming down here for the edge loops. But I'm not all that worried about that right at this moment. If I do have to add something here, maybe reconnect those, but I'm not going to do it right now. And let's see what we have. Boom, look at that. That is looking beautiful, and it doesn't pinch around our model. I think maybe I have some other things that are causing it to pinch, but that is how you do it. That is how you make these holes inside your model with all different types of shapes, defining it how you want. But of course, let's save it, and we need to reproject our geometry as always. So just like I've done in all the previous videos, you project from view. Let's also go out of subdivision to make that a little bit faster. Select our front and our front cam, and we can also see our front reference. You project from view. There we go. And we can now look at our handiwork. Okay, not too bad. We have a little bit of adjustments maybe here to make, and that's just because the way I extruded it was I wasn't looking at the texture at the time. So take the three faces in here and then Control plus, scale it and move it around. And this is sort of why you want to be careful with not pushing and pulling too much. So I'm just massaging this stuff here to just make it a little bit more even. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now we have a more detailed skull model that is a lot more interesting and it has a lot more shape to it. And it's going to be working with the textures to help the textures pop out even more. So we've got our circular holes, we've got our square holes, we've got our indents, and we've got them all combined to make our skull even more lively and menacing. Although I see some places that it's bugging me, so I'm going to go fix those up a little bit on my own. So when you are ready with the skull series, head on over to the next one.